Good morning, everybody. We'll be with you shortly. Good morning, everybody. We will be with you in just a moment. Please let us know if you can hear my audio. Switched up my microphone today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media universe. So glad to be hosting another episode of DYOR Live on this great DYOR Media Network. It's another great day, ladies and gentlemen. I survived St. Patrick's Day. The old Irish in me was going to go out and have a little fun yesterday. I got halfway through a beer, a pint of Guinness, and then Mrs. Striking called and said she's got a flat tire. Had to go help her with that, and then when the flat tire was done, the dog had to go to the emergency room. So St. Patrick's Day was a washout. It was a very expensive day for striking. So we're going to have to make some more money in the markets today. I'm going to have to turn this music down. Anyway, the theme of the show today is why does the rest of the economy matter with Bitcoin and all that? Why? It's Technical Tuesday, as many of you know here. And Technical Tuesday, here it is. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro and I here pointing at you, Bitcoin going up, but Bitcoin's really red arrows and going down. It's languishing. Why is it languishing? Why? Everyone called out 100K. It called out 250K. People calling out 500K at this time of the year. Yet we're at 84K, 85K, something like that. And languishing in this box in the 80s and low 90s now for a while. And really haven't traded much more than 100,000 for a few days at a time. And why? Well, the answer is it's the economy, stupid. It's just the economy. That's what it is. And with the big institutions coming in, there's a lot more money in Bitcoin. It's still a small market. Don't get me wrong. It's still a small market. Bitcoin is still, the value of all the Bitcoin in the world is still not even worth the real estate in Manhattan. But you got to understand that. And other things like Pedro talks about, the S&P 500 trading, these NQ markets, the E-minis, all these things based on the S&P 500, they are trillions of dollars more in trading volume than Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin is still small and highly affected by the markets. It's not as liquid as we need it to be yet to not really suffer big downturns or to be held captive by the institutions. And unfortunately, that is still what's going on here. I hear Pedro in my ear. Pedro, are you back there, sir? I don't know what happened to your camera here. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 second here when I bring Pedro up. Let's see. Where did he go? Screen feed. There's Pedro's screen. Oh, that's also, but this should be Pedro here. Let's find Pedro, ladies and gentlemen. I bet he shows up right about now. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. You got to straighten yourself in your camera, sir. Look at the studio feed. Oh, you're just there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, my wonderful co-host Pedro Garcia in the house. Pedro, what is happening, sir? Just one. I know. Oh, Musk's name up here in Canada right now is such dirt, even though he's saving the country billions of dollars. Let me tell you how he's saving the Canadian country billions of dollars. The Canadians have this strange relationship with Indigenous people here, in which they feel that they have to take care of all of them, like in a social network, a social welfare, and they provide everything for them because of past guilt. It's basically one big fat guilt trip. So it's woke guilt. It's just the whole past many years coming together. And in the U.S. we told the indigenous people, Native Americans, look, you guys can have casinos. They're driving themselves out of wealth or into wealth, out of poverty. It's working well. In Canada, they have these northern communities that are remote. They're fly-in communities. You can only get there by plane. They fly in diesel fuel at $51 a gallon to run diesel generators so that Indigenous people can have power. In the old days, the Indigenous people would migrate south where it's warmer. You can't do that anymore. But all these communities now, the government, federal government in Ontario and each province, put out massive contracts to people to provide internet service there. And they've come up with all these cockamamie ways to get internet to these communities so they could have telemedical services. If you can get internet, it's not just for Instagram. You can get healthcare. You can get all the good stuff that comes along with being connected to the world. And so they're all these expensive, they're spending billions. And Elon says, hey, I'll give you Starlink for, not much. And they're putting like we said before, they put those containers out in the middle of nowhere that not only have Starlink in them, but they have solar, and they put them on dead natural gas wells that are way out in the middle of nowhere that are still breathing out methane. So they capture the methane, eliminating methane leaks, burn the methane cleanly, generate power, which provides power to the community, and they get internet connection because of Starlink. And they're up here going, we're going to tear up all their contracts. We're going to tear up all these contracts. There's all these indigenous people up north going, no, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, if you do that, we don't have a doctor, And so, but the media here is very liberal, and they've done a very good job at making Elon Musk the bad guy in this whole thing. And even being associated with them, it's like, oh, well, you were on the same webpage as Elon Musk. You must be awful. It's like, no. There's lots of them. Well, one of the problems here is that one of the main news gathering organizations here, the CBC, is funded by the government itself. I don't, like in the U.S. we have PBS, and they're funded by the government, but they're peach sweaty balls, and today on NPR. It's not. They're not hitting political topics. They're not driving the news. The main news group in Canada is completely funded by the government to a tune of some $2 billion a year. And they're very liberal, very, very liberal, and they just don't address the conservative sides, and they poo-poo the conservatives a lot. But it's not to say, right now in polling, the conservatives are a majority, or they're a majority of all of the groups. But you combine the smaller groups together, and you get more of a majority if they form a coalition. And it's like Canada is like the U.S. On certain coasts, it's liberal. In the center of the country, it's not. On another coast, it's liberal. And it's very much like that. It's interesting, and it's different, and it's weird, and it's weird because there are three parties here, and there's more than three parties, but there's. It's like having a third party in the U.S. screw up all the elections. So think about it. If we had a third party in the U.S. that could throw the elections, not throw them, but influence the elections, almost every presidential election, would end up in the House of Representatives. You know what? I cannot remember the details of that election. But so that's what happens here. The elections get out. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of elections in Canada. That's a whole story. But the point is that going on about Musk is a problem. And Pedro, I had this discussion. Sorry, everybody. We're going to talk Bitcoin here in a minute. I had this discussion with somebody the other day, along the lines of what you and I have had, talking about the mining asteroids and that. And the companies that Musk is creating. Musk is creating the great electric car, rockets, planetary communications, tunneling. He owns a buildable habitat. Build houses. You can ship them and set them up in hours. And he is right. Right. They're opening big factories everywhere and this type of stuff. He's employing a shit ton of people doing that. And he's got the whole artificial intelligence and robot stuff, solar power stuff. He's got everything you need except the food part now, which he's working on. And they actually went to industry to say, we need your help to sustain life on Mars. Now, so let's just think out of the box for a second. He can sustain life on Mars. Oh, and he'll have a cryptocurrency in order to have, a currency that can't really be screwed with everyone, and it can be used, on any planet. And so let's just assume he has a community there. It's starting, but it needs to survive. It needs a reason. Otherwise, it's just a science experiment. Like the South Pole. It became clear to me that he is going to do the asteroid mining and bring those things to Mars, refine them, do all the political, do all the dirty work there, and then be able to ship that stuff either to the moon or the Earth. And then he has a reason to be on Mars. He keeps the dirty stuff away. He can basically control, depending on how much he can get, he can control the pricing of it. And it pays for the whole operation. I mean, imagine that. You know what? My plan is just to make a few dollars on day trading. You know, his plan is to set up space economies.
Zero. And I look at it and I'm like, there's no way. Here's the thing. Let's say he does 10% of it. Let's say he doesn't even do, a 90%. Let's say he does 10%. Pick one industry, right? Like just one industry that he just dominates, right? Tesla goes back up. You know, how many years has it been since you've actually had a profitable car company?
or it wasn't artificially profitable because it got, bankruptcy reorganization and stuff like
right.
that.
Let me rephrase.
Right. It's been a long time since, Ford, Ford stock hasn't gone up in 2 decades.
Well, no, I would disagree. Ford Motors is totally different when you look at it.
Well, they pay themselves huge dividends, so that keeps the price down. But no one's ever been optimistic on Ford. Like, wow, this thing could 100x. No.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm not gonna, I'm not swaying to one side. But just look at the chart. You know what I'm saying? Since 2000 or 2020, in which it fell off, it was restructured and stuff like that. It went from $3 all the way up, literally to $22 for a motor company, and now it's in around $9. So the reality is this: Ford, from a paper standpoint, and this is where I was talking to somebody else as well. It's like they were talking about how Twitter isn't profitable, since Musk is coming. I said, well, Twitter was cash ad flow profitable, but the company itself was not profitable, meaning cash flow coming in based off of generating by the business, not by ads, because you piss off the wrong person. That's why Elon said, go after yourself to Disney, literally, because the idea was that he was being manipulated. So that's why he kind of set up a cash model, a subscription model for Twitter or for X, right? And he established some systems where it's like now he's making it profitable. It's basically break even. And then in additionally to that, that's quite a few of the advertisers have come in, but the really, really big ones haven't fully jumped back in, right? And so it's just a matter of time as things progress where Twitter will be profitable, like fully profitable, like making strides. And this is not, because again, we all know that political biasm switches. Like in 10 years, 10 years ago, we had a different bias. 10 years before that, it was a different bias. We're think about 2014 to 2004, two completely biased compared to today, right?
Right.
And again, in 10, 15 years, it's going to change. And I think it'll be more conservative. I think the far left will sooner or later just shoot themselves fully, and the moderates and the left and the right will simply just be like, we can't get behind you anymore. So we're going to see these things happen. Like I said, give it 10 years, 10, 15 years when he's asteroid mining, he's doing all this stuff and
right.
sitting. And when you're at Tesla, I'm hoping Tesla comes back down to.
Wait, hold on one second. I got to interrupt you real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, on my shoulder, over my shoulder here, I have our show sponsor, Jason Myers of Audit Chain, talking about his new protocol called GovFi, which his two products, Pacioli, it's a product of Audit Chain, and IceRaid, which is a product of the same dev group, are both. He's talking about on the Sal Greco podcast. Former New York City police officer and investigator, has a pretty good crowd talking about all the misgivings going on in the world and how to solve them. Especially since he's based in New York City, both Jason and Sal, they're talking about illegal immigration, and one of the things that IceRaid does is report illegal immigration. And I'm just taking a second to plug one of our sponsors because it's important. But they have IceRaid has a pre-sale going on, full transparency, Pedro and I show wallet is in the pre-sale of that. So we do have a financial stake in it. But the token is not actually in an investment vehicle by any means. It is a reward. And so when you buy the pre-sale, it goes into setting aside a pot of money. So when tipsters report crimes, specifically illegal aliens, obstruction of justice, meaning that when people tip off that the raids are coming, and you get paid. You can get paid for doing it. Along the lines with this other project, Pacioli, if you run their validating nodes, you can get paid for when people audit SEC documents. All that power is being brought back to the people now, so you can get paid doing that. And the goal is to allow Doge to come in and fire thousands of SEC lawyers. And with ICE Raid, the idea is to get around these sanctuary city laws, because perhaps police officers aren't allowed in these sanctuary cities to interact with ICE or anything like that on duty. But off duty, they can use their personal phone and upload pictures, and they know where all the crime and where all the people are going. And all this data from ICE Raid is available to law enforcement. So I just wanted to pitch that was going on. Pay attention to ICE Raid. You'll hear me talk about it a lot because ultimately they do sponsor us. The audit chain group does sponsor us. Sorry to interrupt you, Pedro, but I wanted to hit that when it was still on.
Absolutely. I think also on the back end, when it comes down to seeing Tesla, I'm hoping we're going to see Tesla. I hope they drop this. I do. And the reason why is I want to be selfish, and I want to capture it again at that 108, potentially down to that $80 mark, man. Because what I'm expecting, what we're seeing with the NASDAQ and how the NASDAQ is performing, right? A lot of people are saying, not just me now, but a lot of other people are saying that $10,000 mark area is one of those areas that I'm expecting it to come down to. And I'm now listening to other people that are saying it. Now they might be listening to me, or they could be like literally doing their own homework and was like, oh shoot, we've had nothing but government fluff kind of all the way since Biden and 2022 in October, where we really started seeing a big push up, right? And governmental work being increased, and a lot of the numbers themselves just kind of being fluffed out. And right now they're kind of having the air pushed out of the balloon here. And so I think this area right here is a good area to kind of expect. Now, will we see ups and downs? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, one being right here, we're going to probably see on the or on the NASDAQ here. But the key point here is that watching this happen and being ready, because the correlation between what we're seeing right now with the S&P 500, or excuse me, the NASDAQ and Bitcoin is something you need to pay attention to. And so this is
very correlated.
Extremely correlated, right? It's almost 1-to-1 correlation. In addition, you have a 3 multiple, which means a 1-to-1 correlations means they simultaneously move. They're not simultaneously moving perfectly, right? We're not seeing that, but we are seeing one first leading, and then the other one will drop. So we're talking, there is a small delay, but it's one of those things that we'll see. So I want to be able to play that. And if I'm expecting or NQ to get down to that 10,000 mark area, 10.5 area, then this is the area that we potentially could see the market really find support. Now, again, I also think we might, and not to sound crazy, but even a 5,000 NQ could potentially happen, right? If it doesn't stop, we start to see it really the pop in. This is where, and the reason why I'm saying that is because this is the previous high of the previous boom, right? When we had the .com bubble, right? It basically went from like $50, the NASDAQ, all the way up to 5,000. And then it came back down to 800-ish. And then from there, from 800-ish, it exploded to 22,000. So again, seeing it pull back, you can see the huge pullbacks going from 5,000.
Can you move that over just a little bit there, Pedro?
Which one?
Or whatever you're showing, just kind of put in the center of the screen because it got behind our heads.
I'm so sorry, guys. I always forget that, man. Okay, so you can. All right, so you can see here that the market tech has it's very volatile, and its twin cousin, who's crazy, is basically Bitcoin. Right? Like you have that one BA cousin who will fight anybody, and then you have the crazy one who backs him up, right? And you're like, so that's Bitcoin, right? And so in a sense, you're watching as you already have a crazy guy, just falling from like 5,000 all the way to 800, right? Losing literally 90% or 80% of his value. Okay. And then on top of that, you as it comes down, and this looks like a Bitcoin chart, right? Like bam.
It looks like a pump and dump there if you cover up the launch mode there. Yeah. Now pump and dump, it's done. I would have written that off, Pedro. If I took 1 second to look at that chart, I'm like, pump and dump. They scammed us. They took all our money and ran. Done. And drag it over, and boom. The economy. It's the economy. It's the economy. It's the economy, people. And Pedro, when you were off at the beginning, I was doing the intro, Pedro, I was alluding to the fact that it's technical too. Oh, yes, and I totally forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Technical Tuesday! I hate forgetting to do that. I put that together. I love it. I love it so much. I love the tune. It's Technical Tuesday. And as I was telling people, I said, look, because, and you mentioned it, the correlation between the NASDAQ and Bitcoin right now is very close. We put the two charts up. I mean, I'll have the NQ up and then Bitcoin up, and one ticks, the other one ticks, and then ticks, and it's like, whoa, it's the same. Yeah. I was trying to see if one chart was faster than the other,
No,
it's not. You can't.
It's lockstep. Sometimes you'll see a divergence, but it's hard to guess when it's going to happen.
Right, but so they're moving quickly because, or in step together, the economy ultimately drives where the money goes, and whether people have extra money of it, whether, if everyone's doing well, then they feel that they can put more money into crypto to dabble in it. That type of stuff. It plays on the psychology. And people might not have extra money. Their salary might be exactly the same, and inflation's just slowly eating it away. But they may actually feel better in it. And so, but then again, all the traders, the money in the stock market, people, is so much more than Bitcoin. And the money that's traded in NASDAQ makes Bitcoin look like, minor league baseball. And so, once a correlation starts to exist and the market starts treating the NASDAQ as kind of the father of Bitcoin in the trading land, it's hard to break that. It's hard to break that until serious money comes in. And where we have some serious money, Pedro, you know where I'm going with this, right? Serious money. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Chuck Jansen in the house. Oh,
yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about, brother.
I got 10 on Technical Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Chuck Jansen for Super Chats. For those of you that don't know, Super Chats on YouTube and rants on Rumble. We use those dollars to make this show better. And as I always say, to make it our goal to go to Ibiza to buy hookers and booze. No, it's just to promote this show and to help bring you better education and entertainment. But more along the lines, and I haven't been doing it, I wanted to do it before, is put the goals up of just small super chats, $1 and $2 super chats here and there, because it shows the algorithm. It's a big thing for the algorithm to say, hey, viewers are giving their money to these people. Something must be going on. So it really helps us out, not necessarily a lot financially, because we're a small show, but someday it'll be bigger. But it helps out the algorithm and getting the word out. So thank you very much to Chuck and anyone else who either super chats or Rumble rants. That means you guys on Rumble. I see you guys out there. But anyway, thanks to everybody on Rumble for joining us. Our crowd's been growing steadily over there. We're very close, Pedro. We're really close to our Our goal is, I think we're going to get it today, Pedro. We only need 1.6 hours.
There we go. There we go. Let's get it up. Let's get it up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right.
We're at 28.4 hours of the 30 that we need within a rolling 30-day period to get into the crypto, or like the Rumble Creator Program. It's our last goal. Let me rephrase that. Then we're allowed to apply. So we're not automatically in. That we're allowed to apply. That doesn't mean they're going to take us.
And then if they don't like it, really?
They'll take us. They're taking everybody. You should see some of the shit they take.
You know, it'd be crazy if they looked at our stuff and was like, "Sorry, we can't." We're like, "Wait, what?" Like,
I mean, some of the streamers are just like one dude with the microphone that sits there like this. And today the stock market went up, then it went down, and I think it's going to go up and down again.
Well, that would actually be funny, dude. We should do something like that. That would be great. We're just like, nah. Real interesting though. So as we're looking though, let's jump back here into Technical Tuesday though. Now that we're back in, so we're watching the Nasdaq and the correlation. We've already talked about that a little ad nauseum, the correlation between the two. Now it's really important to also understand from a global standpoint of charting. Now, I understand there's a lot of, I'm not a great fundamentalist. I'm not going to pretend that I am, but I'm pretty good at looking at them charts. So let's look at the charts here real quick. Now, tomorrow we've got interest rates that are going to be playing to be moved or not. Let's check out to see our 30-year and 10-year bond. Okay. We've been talking about, let's move that. All right, so we've been talking about this area. We've been playing off of these zones here now for a while, of it coming down and going up and coming down and going up. Again, when I'm looking at it from a daily standpoint, right now we're kind of the market itself is kind of consolidating here, but we're still having higher highs and higher lows. The only problem is the volume is dying here. And so they kind of don't know really what they're going to do, especially traders. I think what they're going to do when it comes is that we're above all the moving averages, and we're really putting in more demand wicks than actual supply wicks here, as you can sit there and see. And so again, it's a little kind of even, but it looks like they want to push it up. And so I'm looking at this on the weekly. We're following the 8-period moving average on the weekly, and on your monthly, you can see here that it's pierced a lot of these moving averages here, which basically makes them weak. So if we have more of the moving averages above us, I think they're going to most likely drop rates because bonds and interest rates are inverse. So when interest rates go up, bonds go down. When bonds go up, interest rates go down. And when interest rates go up, bonds go down. I said the same thing. So I had to make sure I was aware. So sorry about that. So I think we're getting ready to go up as we're moving for the bonds. Now, interest rates, as they come down, we're going to then see some stuff happening within the US dollar. The US dollar will most likely, and let me give you some price points here as we move forward, all right? I think we'll probably come up to the 121 to the 120 area on 30-year T-bonds, okay? And so that's what I'm expecting us to get to within this next week to 2 weeks here as we start to climb if prices go down on interest rates. And additionally to that, let's check out the 10-year. 10-year has put in a few supply wicks, but we bounced off of this off of the 110 area, the 107 to the 106 area for the 10-year bond. Now, again, 10-year bonds is one of the widely used like metrics, being able to see where bond prices are going in relationship to interest rates, especially when you look around at Europe. Europe actually has a better interest rate because they're going to war. So a lot of traders are already funneling money into Europe to basically expect a higher interest rate that's actually going to go up. So as that's happening, I'm looking at like, okay, if that's going to happen, are we also going to see a correlation in interest rates moving higher, right? If we do, then your 10-year bond will go down. But again, if the dollar goes down, right? And we start to see a drop in the dollar. That means that people are going to want to do business here in America. And so you have this kind of weird oscillation going back and forth. Now, from a trading standpoint, I'm seeing more seller wicks here with higher interest or higher buyers. But again, on the daily standpoint, on your 10-year mark here, you can see here. Come on, where are you at? Boom.
I lost my eagle sound. Damn it! Every time you say America, I like to play the eagle sound. Go ahead, Pedro.
Awesome.
Sorry.
All right. So as we're consolidating, going sideways on our 10-year bond, right? You can see here that this area right here, so sellers are coming in and dropping. Looks like they're dropping out, which means if you're going sideways and sellers are dropping, then when buyers step in, it's going to escalate the movement up. And so this is where I think personally we're headed to for bonds, is that we're going to see it go higher. Now, if we look again at the weekly 8, you can see again that weekly 8 is pretty strong 8, and we're pushing through higher SMAs on your 10-year bond. So let's check out now the interest rates. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to go to 30, 20, and 30 year. These are important, but it's really the 10 years that we really want to pay attention to. So you can see here, that our interest rate on actually, we're going to go to the 1 month here, and then we'll go. So the 1 month, we're still staying steady at the 4 and 3, 30%. Stuck in exchange. Oh, I got one of these things. I love these guys.
I love screwing with those guys.
Dude, it's so good. They just hit me up. Anyways, I'll come back to these guys later. So let's focus here. Focus. All right, so you can see here that we're playing off of the 1 month and we're staying steady here. You can see we've been here for quite a while and we're finding support on this level. So I think we're going to definitely see short-term money stay here for a while. You can see we played off of that 20 period moving average, but we're finding support here. So as long as we play this area, then we'll see what goes on. But ultimately, we're seeing money leave the market. So for how long? I don't know. We'll stay here. But I think we are going to stay here for a while until we really kind of get to find out what's happening in the actual economy. Is it expanding? Is it slowing down? With a lot of the Trump situations, especially with a lot of the jobs that he is created from a manufacturing standpoint. And we're really starting to see them step into jobs, starting to get things going. So it's going to be really interesting to see, are Americans going to hold on to that money and save it and invest it? Or are Americans going to go through and put it to use in the economy, which will jumpstart the economy?
They're going to put it to if history is a repeating fact, they're going to blow it.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to buy. They're like, I got an extra $5,000. I'm going to buy a boat. Got to get me a boat. Got to go fishing.
Yeah. But what's going to be real interesting to see as they start to create more housing, as they start to create more supply, are we going to see a balancing out here? So we'll find out what happens. But it's going to be really interesting to see as the short year bond, which is sitting at the 430 area, compared to the, excuse me as I burp, I am sorry. At the which is higher than the 10-year bond, which is sitting right here. You can't see that. Okay, let me see right here. Boom, you can see that. So you can see right here. Let me make sure that you can see that. You should be able to see it there. So you can see right here that I'm pointing out that the one. You can see right here that the 4.3% 1 month bond versus the 10-year bond, which is sitting at the 4.28. This is going to be really important to kind of pay attention to see if people really believe with what Trump is doing, as well as Americans, right? So this, we want to pay attention to that. If the 10 years starts to get above that 1 month, right, and the 3 month area, the short-term bond, then this is a good thing. People believe what's happening here. They want to buy more U.S. bonds, right? Which is going to be really interesting to see what happens. So that's it in a nutshell. Let's go ahead now. This is long-term bonds here to look at the rate here that I expect. If this thing does fall through here and we see an increase in the 10-year bond, then we're going to most likely see it come down to that 3.39% area here. That is the next real buy area that you saw. You can see it literally pretty clearly here, from here to there. So this is that next level that we're going to see interest rates on the short term get down to, or we'll see an increase, right, of the yields increase and then the bonds drop. So, but I don't see that happening, literally just because from a bond standpoint, it's not looking that way. Now, let's go ahead to see why this is important, because interest rates determine how much money you're going to have to actually play and put and to execute into the market so that you can play for your future. One being the dollar. Now, let's check out the dollar. We've been talking about the dollar since it was at 110 area. And as we're coming up there, I said, guys, expect us to come down here because of the initiatives that Trump wants to set up here in America. One being he wants to increase the manufacturing. And the best way to get, when you manufacture something, you want people to buy from you. And the best way to do that is to drop that currency and make sure that their currency, because we have the world's reserve currency and everybody uses us, when our dollar goes down, their dollar or their currency will go up. Okay, so this is pretty much what it looks like. All right, literally, if you actually put them together in a char bar or in like a line format, they literally look like this. Yeah, that's now the matador shall dance with the blind shoemaker. So all that to say is that as this is coming down, again, we've talked about this 104 area as we're coming. Now we're starting to fall through this low here. And we talked about this last week, coming up and tapping that 8-period moving average and then seeing it continue down to the 100 area. We've talked about this. Now, again, we're going to play back and forth off this. Obviously, it's not going to go straight down. At least I don't think it's going to go straight down. It's typically
not financial advice, ladies and gentlemen.
But it was kind of crazy that it went from 107 literally in 3 days to 104. I'm just saying. That's kind of crazy, but it was some big moves, and it was warranted, because you can see we do have a nice little slip and slide down here. So in the same sense, we're kind of at that teetering point here as the U.S. dollar starts to fall down. Okay, again, this has to play with everything we just got done talking about now. As the U.S. dollar starts to go, we talked about our currency, right? Our businesses become more valuable for people who want to do business with. Okay, even though we're charging them tariffs, they'll want to do business with us,
right?
Because their money can go much further on a percentage level. So they come in, they buy our goods and services, hence helping our economy, putting our people to work. All right, and then again, you're going to have this oscillation now, because then when that starts to happen, we can kind of charge more interest rates, and then our bonds start to go up, and you start to have this little oscillation going back and forth. So it's going to be topsy-turvy for a while, but we're going to see this I think we're going to see this price come down. Like I said, when it was at 109, 108, I see it come down to 104. And then from there, we're already following the 8-period. And the next position is really that 100 to 98 or 99, 98 area on the dollar. So it's really important to pay attention to these levels here, because it's going to put kind of America in a good place if World War III breaks out. Just saying. I don't think it will, but like, yo, everybody goes.
Then none of this matters.
Well, no, everything. This all will matter.
No, I mean, there'll be no electricity. No one won't. Nothing will matter.
Oh, yeah.
It's just.
I mean, but I think it's
be no money.
I think it's going to be the war of the robots and the what are those things that the drones? War of the drones and robots. That would be a good TV show, right?
It is. It's called Star Wars.
You're right. That is what it is.
Doesn't go very well for the good guys most of the time in that show. Every once in a while, a big win, woohoo! And then immediately the bad guys take over again for a next sequel.
What was interesting is that's almost the way the Revolutionary War was fought, right? Like we were just getting our face kicked in.
Right.
until like until the French, right, decided, hey, let's go help out these knuckleheads. And
You know,
then,
Pedro, I've got a good analogy for here. You're talking about the dollar and import exporting and that type of stuff, and it gets confusing for people, even myself, because it's a lot of new principles that people know in the back of their head but don't know how to apply them. If you think to the crypto markets, you see Pedro and I up here talking about where the liquidity is in the market. We'll show the bubble maps or the heat map or book map or whatever, or in these lines here. Pedro says it's going to come down to here because that's where Pedro feels there's a lot of liquidity in the market, and that means if there's a lot of money there, more than elsewhere, that means big traders and big institutions know that they can get their orders filled down there easily, and the market price will be drawn to it like a magnet. And the U.S. economy, and it almost always happens. You can see his lines here. It came whoop, right down to his lines. And the U.S. economy is like that big liquidity pool. It's where all the orders are. It's where everyone spends money on our giant consumerism economy. And I know, I just thought of it. I was like, It's like, stop, Pedro, I got this. I got to say this while I've got it.
still in it.
It's the U.S. market is like the liquidity pool of the world. It really is. And so when it's more expensive to do business here, people still want to come because it's where the money is. It's where the orders are. It's where the liquidity is. And so people will always want to come here. We might drive percentages of them away, but at the same time, we're making more money on what we have inside our country. So in any discussion about economics, you take 1 billion inputs into an economy and you get the output of what you got. And it's hard to influence anything. But to understand that the U.S. dollar is the main point in the economy and how that works, we're the liquidity pool for the U.S. The U.S. is the economic liquidity pool of the world, and our currency is the U.S. dollar is the Bitcoin of that liquidity pool.
And it's really important to understand that U.S. The dollar and crude oil, CL, here, this chart here kind of play together, because what happens is the world runs on oil, on crude oil, and everything that you have. The reason why the U.S. dollar is there is so that people can exchange and buy crude oil in. This is why I was talking about the yuan, or the petro yuan, and how potentially it could become a fight against the petrodollar and the petro yuan. But what we're seeing in Japan or in China, and kind of an implosion right now, they're having their 2008 situation right now, and a ton of money is being funneled into their economy to basically brace and hold, like what we did with quantitative easing in 2008. And so granted, they're still a powerhouse, just like what we were, right, of manufacturing. But the fact that we're coming onto the scene and we're picking up our manufacturing, it's going to be it's going to be a tight situation. I was listening to China and the Indian, Eastern Indian, why am I forgetting what it's called? Why is the guy's name? The Chinese.
India, Tibet, Uyghur, Sri Lanka.
No.
Bangladesh.
The Chinese representative to India, and he was communicating and talking basically that, look, let's make sure that we're friends, right? Because look, don't think that we're gonna fall apart and just be done. Like, understand, we're going through a hard time, but we're not down and out, and so don't discount us. We're next door neighbors here, just like how America and Canada are next door neighbors. China and India are kind of like, hey, buddy, what's up? How you doing? They share a border, so it's really important to understand as that is happening. Chinese population.
One second, Chuck. I'll fix that. I have no idea what happened there. It's Rumble didn't stop the stream. They stopped our camera for some reason.
What's going on? Not cool, Rumble. Not cool.
I just literally cannot re-enable the camera here.
Serious.
Well, hold on, it'll come back here. I mean, I'll get it. I'll reload the page, whatever. It's just being finicky. Let me change it up altogether, and Just keep talking, Pedro.
All right, we are having fun here. Okay. Ahead of the prime minister over in India.
All right, hold on, Pedro. They also stopped their microphone here. Check 1 2. Audience, let us know if you can hear us. I just re-enabled a bunch of things.
It's interesting that they shut us down.
Well, to be honest, their studio platform is newer.
Come on, man. You guys, they're killing us, Smalls. They're killing us.
Right. Carmen Crypto in the house. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Audio is good. All right, keep talking, Pedro. I'll fix the video.
The eagle had me dying.
You haven't. Right. I don't feed all the special effects to Pedro because they distract him. So he has every time you say America or the U.S. I've been hitting the eagle sound effect, and they're loving it.
That's awesome.
That's why Chuck is doing it.
Yeah, the reason why I cannot. Listen, y'all know I always have so much stuff going on in my head. So from this standpoint, as America, right, is doing business with now that you said it, it's cracking me up every time I say it. Now that America is really trying to woo and romance India, right, and we're trying to work out. Look, take away the tariffs. Don't be a douche, bro. Be cool, honey bunny. Let's make some money together, right? And so China's like trying to come over to India saying, hey, you need to be cool. We share a border, but we're not going to fight you. We listen, we're brothers, right? And then seeing also Russia. So it's this real interesting thing, Russia standing point. And it all plays literally off of crude oil. And so all this interplay between there stems from everything that we make and do stems off of this thing called crude oil. And so that's why I sat there and said, look, we talked about back in what was it? I think it was June. I think it was back in June or July when we had this area right here. I said, expect this to drop because Trump made it very clear that he wanted to drill. This was in 24, right? 24 and 20 in April of 23. When he's like, we're gonna drill. So I said, expect this to drop, and that's when we really drew this line here. And I said, I expect it to get down to that 50 or 55 to 45 area here, primarily because that is the price point in which it makes it advantageous for us Americans to keep drilling going. But it makes it difficult for the rest of the world to play in it because we are our U.S. dollar interplay with it with what Trump is trying to do. It'll make it advantageous for you to buy crude oil from America, again, helping with our economy and get things up and running and pumping. So these small little interlays are important to pay attention into crypto because it all comes down to how much money do Americans have to invest into crypto and the stock market. Comes down to that in a nutshell, and you need to understand the interlay between these as they play. Now, one of the things I thought was real interesting, and very rarely we go over natural gas. We've talked about these plays here, right? Like this was an area, it sold off. Boom, there's another area, it sold off barely, but it blew through. So let's play a little bit more here on natural gas because what was interesting is we saw China. This has started their production increase of natural gas. Natural gas is one of the primary exports that America puts out to the rest of the world. So as that's happening, China's picking up. It's almost like a clapback to America, saying China goes, we can play the same game, dude. You want to keep playing? And America's like, bring it. We're doubling down in a sense. So it's really interesting to see the actual play between what's actually going on within natural commodities in this world. Like in our world, okay? And again, that's why I always think about Elon Musk going through and natural mining stuff. Like it's just gonna be crazy, especially coal. And imagine if they bring a mountain size of coal, bro, into the market. It would just.
I gotta tell you, if they can actually figure out, and trust me, the guys in Virginia are working on this. If they can figure out a way to actually burn coal clean, and so it has no pollution. I mean, first of all, China will copy it. China's got as much coal as the U.S., but the oil business will be in deep doo doo because you can turn coal into other forms of power very quickly, much faster than oil.
Yeah, and so this is why I bring up the idea of then the interlay between if it doesn't become profitable to keep producing crude oil, right, and they're fighting back and forth, they're going to go to coal. And so now you have this interlay between, all right, which one? This is when you have airlines fighting prices, right? And it only benefits the users, right? So this is going to get fun here, and especially if China can come back from the state that they're sitting in a matter of a short period in time, you're going to see then a rebound of this different tap. But if China doesn't, and we see the yuan keep down, it just puts them in a really bad situation. And the other part I thought was so interesting is that even though they're having craziness happening, the yuan is pushing up. And I find it so interesting because who's buying the yuan? Is it China itself, right? Or is it the Chinese investors? Like, it's just really interesting to see.
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, it can be going up because the dollar's subtly getting weaker. I mean, could just be simple Forex stuff.
It could be, and I'm not saying it's not. But the other thing behind it, and I think what's really interesting, here we go. So this is the U.S. So see, they won't give it to me anymore. I don't know why they won't. Please give it to me.
To our viewers, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We've got a good crowd across the board watching us. YouTube has been slacking us lately still, so we still have some problems with that. But Rumble's been picking up the slack for us. We really appreciate it. And everyone, as usual, you're watching DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. I do things way too complicated instead of just using StreamYard or the Rumble Studio by itself. I like to do things with broadcast software and make things fun and all that, which means I have lots of technical problems, like usually with Pedro's microphone or something like that, or the screen going dark. Pedro and I are on a different audio system than you guys. So if the music is too loud in the background, let us know. Or it's just boring as shit again, and you're just like, I've had enough of that stuff.
You're like, keep it more entertaining. America!
And for those of you on Rumble, just so you know, we don't get a lot of comments on Rumble because many of you are not subscribed and you're watching us on your smart TVs. If you could do us a favor and sign up for Rumble, you don't need to pay. There's no money. All you do is create an account. You can use your Google login or your Facebook login or whatever. And they don't even need to know your password. You just say, click here. And that allows you to like, and when you share, it's linked to the profiles and all this type of stuff. It works really well. And drop us a comment. We want to hear from you. Engagement. We like to engage with our viewers. And over on Twitch, we like to get cheap viewers on streambo.com. That is spam, ladies and gentlemen. No dinero. No. There is a version of Rumble that is pay, just like YouTube Premium. They have Rumble Premium. But you don't need that. All you need to do is sign up and hit that like button. It really helps.
Absolutely.
Pedro, I've got an interesting thing. Go ahead. Finish your comment. I thought you were finished.
Yeah, let me finish. So here we go. So as the UN dollar, it's recently has just been, as you see, we've seen it go up here, and it's gaining in strength. As it starts to happen, you can see it play it off on what's going on in the US dollar. If the US dollar keeps continuing down and we keep seeing this thing pump up, this is going to be really interesting. Even though the dynamic between it should be going down here. So you're talking about a kerfuffle, as my friend normally says here. This is what we're seeing. And so this is like daytime soap opera drama here.
Ladies and gentlemen, General Hospital today on DYOR.
Yeah, it literally is. If you understand the interplays between what's actually going on in the global markets, it is It's like so and so came back from the dead and wooed somebody who's alive. It's like you're like, holy,
an evil twin brother.
and an evil twin brother who's been following for the last 200 years. Wait, he's been around for 200 years? Yes, and many other different changing of his faces. Anyways, okay. All right. So
Jesus says, I've been American my whole life. South American. Woo! Hey, Americus Vespucci discovered it all, so it counts.
Yeah.
Discovered.
Yeah.
Discovered there were other people there, and oh shit!
There's real people.
Live here, have smallpox, enjoy it.
Have smallpox.
Shit, they're all dead. Why are they all dead? I don't know.
At least we're not. Take their gold. You talk about.
Hello, Incas. You're all dead now? Yeah, just take your gold. Back to Spain.
No, you forgot. Oh, there's some young women who lived over there. Oh, let's capture them.
Let's take them too.
It's horrible.
As one comedian said, there was never a time in history it wasn't good to be white. We just raped and pillaged everyone for generations, and that just means that we're gonna get our reckoning someday.
Oh, that's good, dude. Like, holy crap.
I think it's a disgraced comedian, so I'm not gonna say his name. It's one of the funniest guys in the history of comedy. It's Louis C.K.
Oh, dude, you dog.
He's literally the funniest guy in the world.
Dude,
I love it. I mean, he had mental problems, but his stand-up bits were awesome.
Yeah, I love his a quarter of an inch thick. Anyways, okay, let me focus.
You're in a chair in the air, going 600 miles an hour, experiencing the miracle of human flight. And you're complaining to the agent about being 20 minutes late going from New York to Los Angeles. They used to leave New York on horses and arrive the next generation. It's one of the best. You're in a chair in the air going 600 miles an hour experiencing the miracle of human flight. Focus.
Okay. So let's pull this out here. So you can see we've been playing with this zone here with the Chinese yuan here since 2020. We did put in another high. So let's see if this is going to continue or if this is going to go up. The US dollar on the yuan is most likely, the Chinese dollar here is most likely it's going to come down. Why is that so hard for me to say? To that 7.529 area where we're going to play off of that 200 or that 20 period moving average. This should cause the US dollar to go up briefly as this thing continues up. So they took away our data on the here. So for when it comes to volume, but you can see here as we're continuing what's going to happen. We'll talk about that later. I really want to get into gold here and silver ratio.
Adios, Chuck. Have a good time at the fiat mines.
Later, brother. Have a good one, man. Thanks. I appreciate it, dude. Lord and Savior said that's some crazy malarkey there. All right. So the other part behind it, and I just think is really interesting, it's gold to silver ratio. I've heard a lot about this being talked about. And so I went and actually did a lot of research to try to understand what's actually going on. Right now, throughout all of history, we've typically had a 1 to 12. So if silver was $1, gold would be $12 to 1 to 15. This is what we've seen throughout all of history. Again, silver being $1, gold being $15. Now, right now, I didn't fully check it yesterday, but when I looked into it really like a day ago or two, the ratio was 1 to 94, meaning silver being $1 and gold being $94, which has been the ratio.
Wow.
Yeah, a huge part. So people are saying there's going to be a huge reckoning where silver is going to catch up from gold or from where it's sitting at right now to gold with the correct ratio. I don't know if that's going to happen because there are too many things out there. If we were to see a correct ratio,
could just be less demand for silver.
No, there's actually probably more demand.
No, I mean in relation to the demand for gold, not in relation to itself.
No. There's more There's more demand for silver right now. And the reason why is because we use, go ahead.
I was gonna say that means someone figured out how to mine it cheaper or less expensively.
Well, or some people talk about it's being held down by a bunch of other factors, government, whatever.
Well, it's not like there's not a history of people trying to corner the silver market. I mean, there's been a number of attempts that have failed spectacularly.
Right.
Got close.
And
got very close.
Oh no. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Dang it. What's going on?
Pedro, Earth to Pedro. We got you. We got you.
All right. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. So 1 to 10, gold is in at 3,000. So 1 to 10 to 1 would be that gold would hit, or excuse me, either gold comes down, which with the economic turmoil that we're seeing and the transition from a fiat bias-based system or a fiat debt-based system to a blockchain restrictive currency system, right? It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays. And I think there will be a parallel where all of a sudden, or not a parallel, but a converse situation where one goes up, the other one goes down until there's an equilibrium that plays within the actual economic system. And when that happens, we will then see the gold to silver system start to play within it. So we're already seeing silver coming up to its all-time highs. We've seen it come from our lows here of 2022 sitting at 17 cents, then now rallying all the way up to 70 or $37. So it's literally almost doubled since 2022. But for it to actually get into the correct ratio, if gold stays at, and we've talked about this, I've already talked about this, that I expect to see gold get to 3,300 by the end of the year with what we're seeing and everything that's going to happen. So as that interplays and we start to see it progress, I think we'll probably see also a huge push. This is going to hurt a lot of industries if silver really starts to climb. So we'll see an increase in a lot of electronics as well as Lululemon pants. Legit. And so as Lululemon, because one of the things that they do is they actually put silver and as an antibacterial, antimicrobial effect within their tights. It's one of those things that they use. So it's one of those things that we could see actually really start to push up. And so women aren't going to be that happy, but they'll always want to make sure their booty looks good. So they'll always buy, but not just as many. Trying
to twerk there, but the BidFi, our sponsor banner, is up blocking it. So sorry, you guys.
All right, you guys missed Tom's twerking. Whoop whoop.
All right, I got to tell you, it's really white. It's bad. It's bad. Like, I got no groove.
You got no hips. As what does Shakira say? Shakira. All right, let's focus here. We're about to finish this up and go right into crypto here. So as this is moving, as we're bouncing off of the 8-period moving average on that month, we're really playing off of the quarterly. Every 3 months, you can see that we've been buying off of that 8-period and playing. Actually, it's 6 months. The year. Really? Yeah, the year. So you can see I've actually been playing off of the year 8-period moving average as we're actually pumping up. But the thing I bring up here is since the beginning of the year, we did not put a demand wick in. And so I expect to see silver come down as this happens. Again, I don't think it's going to push because I don't think it's going to be allowed to because there's too many industries that need silver to be at a low cost. So it's going to be shocking to see if this does continue. But if it does, okay, and we see this thing move, the ratio between gold to silver would have to be roughly around 200. Silver would probably get to $220 at its current value of a 12-to-1 to 15-to-1 ratio. So it would either be $150 silver to actually have a correct ratio to $200 to about $200, potentially $300 if gold still continues to go up. Speaking of gold, we're watching gold really come up to the area that we've talked about, that 330. It's already hit. It's already pumping today at 3,040, and we'll see if it continues up to this level. Again, this is a whole level. We should see some pullback at the 350, which is sitting at the, here we go. We actually had it at the 350 area, 349, and then it did pull back a little. So as that pullback is coming in, it just hit it today, actually.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it did. You're right. I'm looking at it right now on my on the CME contract. Yeah. All right. Yeah, 347. Impressive. You can see this. It's popping right here. So that's one of those things that I can see get to 350 or 3,050 and then pull back and then probably come back and tap the 8 and continue up. But again, my call for 330 or 3,300 is still intact. Now jumping back, how this all interplays with you, my friend, who is a crypto. Oh, one last thing. We talked about shorting micro strategies from when it gapped up here, and I think it was halfway through the day when it was coming into that 440 area, and I said this is the best time to short this stock. It bounced off the 200 period moving average and tapping on the weekly 8 here that you can see here. It's following the weekly 8, bounced off the 50 weekly, but I think we're still going to see it go down, literally because I think the market wants it. The street wants it low because they want that Bitcoin, and I think they're going to try to bankrupt MicroStrategies so they can take the Bitcoin. But we'll see what happens. But that's it in a nutshell. Now let's go to BTC. BTC being if more supply gets put into the system of Bitcoin, and we see what happens with MicroStrategy, we would see Bitcoin come into play here and push down. Now we talked about Bitcoin. Remember how we said if we see, and I spoke too soon yesterday, right? Because yesterday I said,
hold on, Pedro. Before we get deep into Bitcoin, we've got a question from a viewer. Absolutely. And Meme Nation, thanks for joining us. Haven't seen you before, but we appreciate you joining us. He asks, why demand for silver all of a sudden? I think you started to address that, but where's the demand being driven?
All right, so two things that we're seeing with actual demand. One being from a retail standpoint, people, right now gold is too expensive, right? So they're looking to buy silver, one, just on the open market. They want to buy silver, one being that. Two, the demand would also come from just as we keep continuing, a lot of the gold right now, a lot of your CPUs, a lot of your computers right now currently want and try to buy up gold. But as gold keeps getting more expensive, you're going to see them having to say, we're going to take silver or copper because we can't keep building these high expensive. And the reason why that is, you're like, well, who's buying it? The Magnificent Seven, or now they're calling them the Dud Seven, whatever you want to call them, right? The top tech companies, as they're coming out, they can't keep affording something that goes higher. And so now they're going to have to settle for the CPU systems that are going to literally be lower. So as we're seeing it, kind of what's the word I want to use? It's increase in the U.S. market for it. That's the primary reason why. It's because you're not going to be able to sit there and see it. So that's the only way I can sit there and see it, unless the government steps in and says, no, we're not going to allow speculators to push this up, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. But ultimately, yeah. You're welcome, brother. Mosan, thanks for coming in. How did you find us? If you don't mind me. Oh, there you go. How'd you find us? And, it's good to have you. And Jesus, the Lord and Savior, ¿qué pasa, señor? It's good to see you as always. Boom. What did he say? When the F gold hit 3K. Dude, we've been going over that every Tuesday.
Yeah, literally we talk about gold every Tuesday and sometimes during the week too.
My high school.
Yeah, so my high school. Oh man, I could see Jesus. And to be honest, we've never met. Just know him through our texting here, and he's dripping walking through high school. That's right, man. I'm from Peru. We got the gold. Got the Incas. Got Machu Picchu, bitches.
So that's great. So
next thing you know, he's in the corner. Poof, 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 poof. All his gold be taken.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, silver back then. Oh, silver.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Meme Nation, I'm curious. Where did you see me talking?
YouTube algorithm? How'd you find us?
No, she said, or he said, I don't know, or they said that.
Saw Pedro talking. We all see Pedro talking. Trust us.
I'm trying to warn everybody so that everybody knows. I'm trying to get into all these places so that people are like, listen, y'all are so bullish on this, but just hold your dry powder. I actually went on get David Gockstein's, I think it was last night, and they finally unmuted me, and they just straight up asked me, where do you think the prices of BTC is going, like on air? And I was like, thank you. All right, you're not gonna like it, but this is what I expect. So shout out. So let's pay attention here real quick as we start to continue down, as we start to move down here with BTC. Again, we talked about that 8 period coming in and following it. You can see here that I said, you asked me, you're like, well, what's it going to do? I said, well, if you see it go down first on Sunday, expect a Sunday, Monday drop, Tuesday sideways, Wednesday up. But this is another pattern that I look at, is that we saw a push up, then you saw it come in on Monday. We saw it go up a little. So I said, well, I really don't know. We could bounce off the 8 and 20, or we could bounce down. But I expected us to come and hit that 20 period moving average, which would basically, like, I wasn't too sure if we were going to continue down at this moment, but it's continuing down. So the only thing that I'm a little hesitant here is that we didn't put in a demand wick at this level here. So for me, I'm more hesitant to sit there and say we're going to fully continue down because we didn't put in a supply wick. But on the weekly,
as soon as it opened that time period, it just went down.
Just dropped. Yeah, and I think partly it's because Michael Saylor again bought yesterday, so they
must be the top going down,
bro. Like, dude, the guy just needs to stop announcing him buying. Like, just stop. Listen, Mr. Saylor, I respect you. I love your fortitude, but I am telling you, stop announcing it, because all you're signaling is for it's like you've got a cut and you're jumping into the ocean and the sharks just come. Like, it's just, that's basically you just cutting yourself and saying, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. It's suicide. I'm telling you.
All right, we got some questions here, Pedro. When do you decide if it's going lower? If there's no wick there, question mark, since you are hesitant. There's a lot going in here, but that is one of the things.
I like I said, I use wicks, moving averages, and zones. It's those 3 things that communicate to me. And when I don't see a wick on a day, typically that communicates to me that it typically will want to go up or go down based off there being a wick or a lack of there being a wick. And so to me, the lack of there being a wick, even though it's just a day, we could see it come back up, retrace off, hit that 20, and then push down and continue, right? We could see something like that. But let us not forget that we did put in the weekly wick. So that Tuesday wick could be inconsequential.
Inconsequential. Tough one there.
I've been really trying to improve my my words.
Your diction.
My vernacular is trying to get better so that I can improve and become more presidential as a deliverer. And that's with me eating my meals even before.
Meme Nation, we do things, I should say Pedro does things a little differently here than many of the other people on YouTube do it. We're not necessarily day trading, setting up a trade live on the show to trade right now and make profits on the show. We'd like to be able to do that, but we're not there yet. Pedro stares at all the charts for a long time, analyzes them, and figures out where the liquidity is in the market. And if you hear us talk a lot, and the liquidity is usually around where these green lines are, where there's more orders. Either orders because people think it's going to go lower, and they want to buy down there so it goes up, or stop orders. People think it's going to go up and they're short, but it comes down, and then those buy orders are to close out their positions. And we search for those, and those liquidity areas act like magnets. It draws the price down to it, either up or down, wherever they are. Usually there's more of them down, especially when you're near the all-time highs. And so we talk about that at length here, and when he's looking at the day chart and he's saying it's going to come down here, it may be a week, maybe tomorrow, or maybe 3 months from now, because you got to look at the time period we're talking at.
Yeah. So, and I look at those based off the daily, the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly. And sometimes if it's 6 month mark, you'll see me go to the 6 month mark and see what the new candle is doing. And so these are really important things to look at. And I know it seems like inconsequential to seems like inconsequential to the actual
welcome Crypto Mike to the house.
Oh, what's up, Mikey?
You didn't get it, but I played O Canada. Crypto Mike coming to us from the great province and 51st state of the United States, Manitoba. No, I'm just kidding with that. Just yanking your chain. All the way. He just did an epic drive from Calgary to Winnipeg. 12 hours at night. Some of the most boring terrain. In the daytime, it's beautiful, the prairies of Canada. At night, it's just truck driver light, truck lights.
Do you ever just get out and just look at the stars, though, at times?
No, you don't want to get out because some hunter will be like, look, dinner. Oh, it's a human. Sorry, didn't mean to shoot you already.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's jump back here real quick.
I'm just kidding about that, too, but it was a good joke.
It was a good joke. All right, so we're watching the market starting to sell off here. The next levels here, again, is down at this 78,534 area here. I think we're going to come down here. And then from there, we may consolidate and either go back up to tap the 8 and or then sell off on it. So we're going to see here. But right now, it's just kind of consolidating between this level here. Like I always say, the market 80% of the time, or excuse me, 60% of the time consolidates, right? And then 20% of the time either goes up and 25 or 20% of it will go down. So it's important to delineate.
I heard a good. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, Pedro.
No, it's okay, brother. What's up?
I heard a good description of consolidation zones that made me laugh, and it made me realize where I've lost money in the past trading. And they call the particular guy called the consolidation zone the idiot box, and only the idiots trade in it. And I was like,
unless you could trade in.
Yeah, unless you learn how to do it well, But, I mean, if you're a short-term, high-leverage scalper, the idiot box is great. All it does is go up and down. But generally, for your regular people, you're the idiot if you're trading in there because they're going to take all your money. Those high-leverage scalpers are going to take all your money.
So it's just really interesting to see. So we're already watching us. I think we're going to go down here. And so I'm looking literally at your 5 and 15. We're really playing off of the hour chart here. You can see that the 8-period moving average is playing it. So be looking at that hour to 2 hour to 4 hour chart as we start to ping pong off of that, hitting different zones. So I expect us to see it continue down into that 78.17 or 78.617 area here, and most likely going to try to tap this liquidity mark right here, which is going to go to that 77.041 area here. And so that's that blue mark area. We need to figure out a way where I can move this. Maybe like this, it might be easier. People can sit there and see that. And then let's see. I do not want to pull that. Where do we go?
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be on tomorrow here. Same bat channel, same bat time. Friday, we're going to have, it'll be Full Rant Friday with Pedro leading the X Spaces. I will be driving from Toronto to Chicago that day, so I'll just listen in and chat away. And tomorrow, Pedro, we're going to be driving to Toronto, and we're supposed to leave late in the day, but I think we're going to have to switch because of the dog situation.
Gotcha.
And so I might not be able to do the show tomorrow.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll figure it out. All righty. So let's go ahead and finish off what we're going to see here with BTC. So as BTC starts to continue down, I'm expecting down in these lower levels here as we play. Now let's check out Ethereum here. Ethereum here is actually losing its mojo here as we're coming down into our low levels. We talked about really tapping that 1462 area in between that 1074 area here. So these are the areas that I'm kind of expecting, and you can pick up. I said hold off on your dry powder until we get down into these lower levels here, sitting at that 1000 area to
It's
the
coming.
It is. You can see
Right.
as yeah, I mean, you can see it. But the cool thing behind it, though, is as it's dropping, we're watching volume dry up here. So I don't think it's going to stay there for long. I just think it's going to come down. A lot of these plays here, I think, are going to be quick drops. And then we'll see a divergence between the S&P or between the NASDAQ and Bitcoin and crypto market, because pretty much everything follows Bitcoin and Bitcoin is following the NASDAQ. Once it gets down to a certain point, I believe that's when the banks are going to step in and actually purchase at the prices that they've wanted to. And so this is where, and again, we've been talking about this for literally months, months and months and months. Even when Bitcoin was at that 109 area, I said anywhere between, well, I really said like 250, but 100,000 to 10,000 is just a base for the institutionals when you think about a long period in time, meaning 30, 40 years from now, right? Bitcoin will still be here and we're doing asteroid mining and it's sitting at $3, $4, $5 million, right?
Yep.
This is when things will be like 100,000 will be like a thing of the past. So again, I bring that up so you can have reference why I keep saying this stuff, and you can understand more of the institutional mindset, right? They're making money on the short term as they're dropping it, going short, building up and buying up all the coin that they want or that they keep pushing for until they fully feel satisfied. And so it's going to be real interesting to see what happens here. Now, again, Ethereum, I like it at these lower levels, the 1000 area. I would be only lucky enough to see it get to that 880 and then see it skyrocket. I still believe that we're going to see a 15 or 13 to 15,000 BTC by the end of the year.
Ethereum.
Sorry, ETH or Ethereum. Forgive me, what did I say? Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Sorry. So boom from there. Let's check out BNB. BNB is having fun here. Also, tell me how much time I got, because I know you said it was a short.
Yeah, it was about 5 minutes. Fat.
I'm sorry, people. I'm talking a lot. I don't understand how y'all, like, when you do a 2-hour show, like, my jaw hurts because I'm talking too much. All right. Next. Okay, so I'm watching BNB here come into this level and watching it kind of consolidate, which I thought was really interesting, because I honestly thought we were coming down to that 414 area. But to see this thing continue up, it's kind of an anomaly for me. So I don't know if this
BNB's volume is pumping. It's the number one. It has more volume than Solana now.
Oh wow, that's real interesting.
Yeah, they're making fees. They're burning BNB. It went from no degen talked about BNB since 2022, and all of a sudden it's like, hallelujah, BNB.
Well, a lot of the talk with Trump talking about buying BNB or Binance USA, right? And that family at the top of the, was it Friday that they did that? Or Thursday? I forget exactly.
Yeah, and pardoning CZ, eliminate all of the legal things, behind it, all that kind of stuff. Make the name good again. Oh, everything's great again. And then buying it on the cheap.
Yeah, so it'd be real interesting to see what happens here. But ultimately, I was kind of shocked, because I did expect us to come down here to this level. We did tap it here. I was not expecting that. Again, I got caught off guard here. When I saw it pushing up, I said, oh, this day here with the seller wick, I expect us to go down. But it didn't. It continued up. And so I sat there going like, okay, that was not expected. It was not expected. I didn't expect that, like just straight up. And that was last Thursday that we continued up. So ultimately, you've got a couple areas here that we could see a fall, but it's bucking the market. And so when something like this is bucking the market and you're seeing real buyers starting to step in, you want to go along at least with the trend. Okay, so if you're going to consider to go long on this, play off of this zone here for BNB. And it's something to be paying attention to, because I think there might be something at play here that we don't know, something fundamental, or somebody, there might be a buyout, in all honesty, bro. Something of that nature, because to see it start to fight against what we're seeing in the broad market with Bitcoin and Ethereum, something to be paying attention. Now, the other part behind it as well is, we all know, like, there is a special place in people's heart for Binance. It's the OG of just degenic moves and just being dumb and retarded, right? For meme coins, it is the original home for meme coins. Back in 2020, when you had the ICO craze and everybody was in it with their mom and their aunt and uncles, even pet dogs were getting involved in this. We started seeing people we saw it go, what was it, like 25 cents to 300? It was something crazy. And so that this movement here that we saw, I'd expect to see a similar move here as we start to continue down. Yeah, here it was. This is crazy, man. Like look at that. 50 cents. Yeah, it was 50 cents, not 30 cents. It was 50 cents, man. And it went from 50 cents literally to, where was the 300? Was that? No. Anyways, you see my point. 50 cents,
unbelievable.
All the way to,
just unbelievable.
Yeah, you talk about, what is this? For 57, that's a 1400x.
And that's why everyone loads money into these level 1 chains. They when Matic came out, everyone thought, oh my God, this is going to do just like BNB. It's going to be at a few cents for a while, and then all of a sudden it's going to be at $600. And Matic has stayed the same. It's just been essentially the same. Same with many of these chains. They've gone, even Kronos. Kronos has done very well for itself. Did it meet the expectations of going back to where it was a while ago? Or doing the BNB thing, the Binance thing? No.
It's interesting with Kronos is that the CEO, he's made it very clear. The coin will either stand by itself or it will fall by itself. Like, and I saw that and I was like, respect, okay. It's not something I wanted to hear, but the fact is that he said it will either stand by itself or fall by itself. We're not going to interlay with it. And I respected that. I said, you know what? That's a good thing. So if we start to see it really pick up, like, again, I think in 15 years, to see a Kronos at, 300 billion, 400 billion, I don't think it's far off, right? Just because how big it is, what it's doing, there's really nothing out there. They've already won the favor and kissed the ring with Trump. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. So, hey, man, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's right. We got 3 more years of kissing the ring, and then that'll be over. Kronos is at a $2.1 billion now. So, it's going to take a lot of money into Kronos to get it to 100 billion, never mind 300 billion.
Yeah, I do. And I know it sounds nuts, but I just, with what they're doing, how it's going, unless the CEO and a lot of those guys just are idiots and blow and mess up crypto.com, which
I don't. It would be difficult for them. I mean, obviously they can make bad product decisions and be bad salesmen and do that. But I don't think they're going to do it because they're subject to the Singapore Monetary Authority also. And when you screw up, the Singapore Monetary Authority has the ability to cane you and imprison you in bad places.
Dog, remember when we were growing up? Who was that kid who spray painted and then got caned?
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Publicly. Like, remember, and all Americans watched it. We're like, holy, and we're like, idiot. Like, why did you there? And his parents were petitioning him to, like, please don't let my son get. And
it was a big international thing. They're like, just take the pain, buddy. Take it and walk out like a man.
Yeah, it really was. It was like, Like, man, you screwed up, bro. Like that was such a big deal. I remember being like, even like, I remember my foster father was like, see, kids, that's why you obey the law. Like, because seriously,
Yeah.
it still didn't get me.
Like,
Yeah, like it's real. I grew up in an area where like getting pulled out of cars. Like I still remember the feeling of getting like a knee in the back, handcuffs on my wrist, the coldness of it, because we were driving brown. This is when I was young though, and it was gang fest area, and if you were, if you're in your teens, you're driving around in a car, you were getting pulled over.
I've been cuffed too.
Yeah. See, these kids want to complain.
Although
right?
I wasn't doing anything, I was just the right description. So,
dog. But here's the thing, right? Like they talk about this stuff, and it's insanity. It's like, man, that's Generation Xers, bro. Like there was no sympathy for us. There was nothing, dog. Like it was like, yeah, well, sucks to be you. Bad place at the wrong time. Even the gangbangers were like, this.
oh, do you see we sent some of the Venezuelan guys to the El Salvador prisons?
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, yeah. Apparently, we're paying El Salvador a couple of $1 million to house a bunch instead of sending them to Guantanamo. El Salvador is just like, we'll take them a lot less money than you'll be doing at Guantanamo, and they're putting them in those racks, and making them be model guys. Like any screw ups, and it's bang, 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 type stuff, or whatever happens to them. I don't know, but it was. I know. Don't mess around in El Salvador either. It's like Singapore now.
Another place. Yeah, they're not joking around. Like people are done with riots. People are done with this, and it's gonna be interesting to see if they try to do this stuff in the future here in America. And when you start to see riots and see what's gonna happen, Trump's already showing
We'll send you to El Salvador.
Not even just that. I think what's interesting, and it's just that we're finally seeing law and order kind of step back into place. I don't know if this was an old one or a new one. I don't even remember. But there was this girl who basically said that she was stuck in a truck and she was being kidnapped, and like it was this thing. And I actually posted on it. I don't know if it's a new thing or an old story. If it's a new story or an old story, but it would basically happen. So I typed in. It's a good thing that girl didn't like. There was a whole entire manhunt for this girl. There was like this whole entire do you know what I'm talking about or no?
Not a damn clue.
Okay. I'll pull it up right here real quick. You should see it. You're like, nah, bro, I don't even know what you're saying here. Here we go. Boom. This situation right here. 11-year-old girl ruins her life with a 9/11 prank call. Basically, and I don't know if you've seen this before. Let me pull it up here.
I have not heard it. Something might jar loose here in a minute.
Let me pull it up here real quick.
Well, I was watching another podcast recently, and the guy keeps getting swatted. Our sponsor was on the Alex Jones, one of the Alex Jones shows, with their Ice Raid app that they're doing that helps report illegal aliens, and the host of the show keeps getting swatted to the point where he knows the police and the SWAT team. They're like, "Don't worry, we won't come anymore." But they still find that they now have the ability to spoof telephone numbers.
Really?
Yeah, and so they can find the people that do the swatting, and your life is done. Done.
Yeah,
it's instant felony. All kinds of all kinds of bad stuff happens when you get on that list of basically terroristic threats. You'd probably be on the no-fly list. I mean,
well, here's the thing, man. You were seeing stuff going crazy. I mean, kids calling out so they don't gotta take, the school. They don't have to go to school. They don't have to. Like it was crazy. But this was it. When was this video? When was this news? When was this news video? When was this news video? What? Story told. There we go.
How do you get Grok on the same page there?
Oh, you know this little thing right here? Do you have this little thing?
Oh, yeah, right. Right. I forgot. I did see that. I didn't realize you could then type and ask questions. I thought it just brought up info. What I like is you can @ Grok on X, like in it when you're replying to someone.
Oh, no. It's wrong. Half the time, bro, I read through that and I'm like, Grok is wrong. I have to be like, Grok, you're wrong. Look this up. I have to help Grok a lot of times.
It's AI. It needs a lot of artificial intelligence, but when you like, it's good for defining things. Like when someone doesn't understand something, like actually what a pardon is, you can say, "Hey, Grok, tell this idiot the difference between a pardon and a this."
Yeah. So I guess it was in 2023, July was the CBS News story, but it was interesting. It still hits the point that like they're getting tough on people stepping out of line and watching what's happening here is actually kind of cool.
Well, they need to. We've spent too many years being pansies, coddling people from birth. Oh, we're sorry. You don't have everything in your life from birth. Here, have it. Oh, you did something wrong. It's okay. Here's a trophy. Go break rocks for 10 years. That's my theory. My theory of how to get out of prison. It's not length, number of years and all that. It's just you get assigned a rock size. And when it's sand, you get a rock and a hammer. And when it's sand, you get to leave prison. So people that do worse crimes get bigger rocks. And you can adjust for size of the person. So a small woman gets a smaller rock than a giant man. But you want that person to leave prison and say, I never, ever want to go back there.
Yeah, backtrack. Because here's the thing. 80% of males that are in jail right now, as we speak, 80% literally had no fathers, and a lot of them literally were put in foster care and went from home to home to home. Okay, the one who reads, and I'll put it like this: out of the 5 boys that my mother had, and we all went into foster care, 4 of them went to jail. I'm the lucky guy, and I should have been in it. I was the worst out of all of them. I had the biggest anger issue.
Just didn't get caught.
By the grace of God. So the reality is this: it's not about doing wrong, but working things out. Honestly, if you want to see a drop in crime, and I know this just I'm going to sound so ignorant here, but I've studied it a lot. Put men and young boys' lives, put good men in it, and love on these kids. And honestly, it's that simple. Put good men who work hard and like give a subsidy, man. I hate to say, if we give so many subsidies to so many things.
Transgender theater in Venezuela.
If you just
isn't that more important than ensuring our own population is parented well, Pedro?
Yeah, dog. Like I just listen.
Fucking morons.
If you're a man and you give your time to a foster care agency kid, like give them a 2% decrease in their taxes or a 5% decrease in taxes that they would bring in. Like, and granted, they're going to go because of the financial favor, honestly, right? But I don't know a guy who won't go, and then you start to see this knucklehead kid and you're like, that's me. Like, like you just sit there and go, that's me. And all of a sudden you're like, get over, you knucklehead. What are you doing? And then before you know it, that kid's life realizes somebody cares about him. He's not. And when you start to mess up and you're, like your older father, or male figure in your life system goes, what are you doing? That's not how you be a man. That's not how you be a man. And again, I know that I am taking a broad brush here. But the reality is when you look at the statistics, 80% of our jail system is filled with foster kids that grew up, didn't have a strong male father. And the majority of them will tell you that. And I know I'm just, forgive me. I digress. Let's move on.
But back to the point. If you leave prison and it took you 10 years to build it, but every day busting a rock, you're going to come out and go, boys, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the show here. Welcome, DYOR Baby. Is the alt market dead and gone? It is definitely dead. It's not gone. No, it's not gone. Because we and I collectively include Pedro and I. When good news happens, we'll FOMO back into that shit. We'll be like, woo, Jasmine, woo, and then 2 days later we're like, oh, I lost all our money again. But I'm speaking metaphorically for the whole degen world. As soon as any good news happens, Solana needs to start back up. All of a sudden, a bunch of other tokens will start back up. If Bitcoin just actually consolidates for like 2 months, does nothing, the alts, people will be like, I'm bored with Bitcoin, better put my money somewhere. Also, time to go. Time to buy algo again. Yes. Degen that again, go on another cruise.
Hey, how was the cruise, by the way? How did you guys do? Did you guys enjoy it? I'd love to hear about it.
For you new viewers out there, DYOR Baby, one of our viewers, was able to pay for a cruise based on his algo position, and Pedro helped him figure out how to get out of that, or not get out of it, but how to get in and get out, and he made a whole bunch of money, paid for a cruise. Yeah. Might not be 100% of the truth, but we're going with it like that. Apparently he's still making money. He's going again in 7 weeks.
Nice, brother. Awesome. I'm a little jealous.
Speaking of time frame, Pedro, I haven't mentioned this to you because it was kind of last minute. Next week, I'm going to visit my daughter. She is working in her year between high school and college, and I'm trying to get on Steve's butt to record a few. I'm going to try and see if we can on Saturday record an episode or two of the AI Live, so we have some content next week.
Okay. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that's been propagating, or that's been moving, and AI. I mean, it's actually a really good time because over the last literally every week since the last 3-4 weeks, there's just been more development.
Right. Hold on. I want to apologize to DYOR Baby. No, I wasn't telling you that DYOR Baby wasn't saying that wasn't true what you told me. I was saying that we made it happen. I'm just claiming that we made it happen, but really it was you as a trader trading your own money made it happen. So make sure we're clear on that.
Yeah, we know you're honest. We're downplaying ourselves, right, or upplaying ourselves, but jokingly,
right.
Almost reverse self. What do they call it? Deprecation, but in a reversed way, a positive way of self-deprecation. You're trying.
We need to have T-shirts with all the words you blow on it.
Yeah, dope, raw, dude. I sound like Billy had an excellent venture. All right, party on, Wayne. Totally tell.
Well, good, DYOR Baby. I didn't realize you had followed it in and out. Well, good. We're glad you did well.
Good, man. Glad. Awesome. Glad you made some cash. Enjoyed, and hopefully you're going on another cruise because of me, or maybe you got to save that money and put it down the road. So I love it. Okay, let's finish up this here real quick so we can go through this. All right, Dogecoin or XRP. XRP, I can see it continuing down here into this $1.49 area. Again, that 168 area here is definitely looking almost positive. It's going to come down here. We just sold through the 8-period moving average, and we're going to see where it goes. I'm pretty positive it's going to come down here to that 160 or $1.68 area. The other one, let's check out TRX. Mr. Justin's son here is, you can see it came down to our area here. I thought we were coming down to that 17 cent area. We did not. We're bounced off that 200-period moving average coming in. I'm a little hesitant, one, because we didn't really put in a demand wick for the week. So we just closed below the 8-period moving average, and we're coming up to test, I feel, that 23 cent area, then where we will continue down into the lower level here at the 18 to 17 cent area for Mr. Justin's son's coin here. Dogecoin. Dogecoin is bouncing off the new week here with the weekend, and we're coming back down to that 14-cent area again. I'm more I'm definitely leaning for the short down to that 12-cent area here. Make sure you stay on the right side of the moving averages, and as it continues down, you want to just make sure that you are going short when all the moving averages are going your way, or whatever trend mechanism you use. You need to obey, or excuse me, you don't obey, you do whatever you want. But I personally, I use the word obey when I say on my trade plan, it says obey the moving averages. Literally, that's what I have written in broad, big letters, underlined, ostracized, like obey the moving averages. So that's why I said it too. Forgive me. I know it sounds weird because I was just reading it again this morning. So to me, I use whatever trending mechanisms you use. I used it on moving averages. You can see that we are going down here. And so I'm expecting it to come down to the lower area of the 12-cent area. Matic is coming back down to these lower levels here again. That 18 cents that we talked about, 16-cent area as we're moving, following the 8-period moving average. ADA, I don't know why I said Adam. Similar situation coming down to that 57, 51-cent area as we continue down. Solana, again, we're still fighting with that 131, but many of you know that I've talked about I really like that 92 cents to 79-cent area here for a pickup of Solana. I heard somebody else talking about potentially 16 cent, or excuse me, $16, $15. That was Rude. When I was talking with Rude, when we had our little makeup session, which obviously I was the alpha. It's joking, Rude, if you're listening, dude. He finally invited me back into the Rude lounge over there. Shout out to Rude. You can see here that he thinks he's getting down to the 16 cent. I don't think that, but I mean, he put up a pretty good argument. So we'll see what happens there. But I like that 93 to 79 cent area here. Ton was really interesting. I saw it this weekend too. Come down into my area here, that $2, and I should have bought some. So we're coming up to the 50-period moving average. We're going to see if it's going to continue. But man, you talk about a good price point. Remember, almost 2 billion people use Telegram, and TON is that coin. So to buy it at this level, it's sooner or later going to be used in TON, where you can actually accumulate and actually see transactions happening. So sooner or later that will happen, and that's going to be a juggernaut in crypto. And it'd be great if it was America made. If you could just come and docile here, that would be dope.
Pedro, Crypto Mike asks, when Moon?
I'll talk to him, man. I was talking to him yesterday. You know, when I was talking with Wen, he was like, listen, brother, I don't know, but it will be in the future. That's what he did let me know. He did let me know. It will be in the future. Don't make sure you're holding out dollar cost average as it goes down. Obviously, I'm giving you guys good price points to be able to buy in at these levels, right? As we're moving. So you got.
I pulled your screen off.
Are you playing the music?
Not yet, but I'm about to.
All right. So let me finish this off here because I just want to get through these top. And I'm literally going over like 30 seconds. So
okay.
You can see here we're bouncing off of the daily 50-period moving average. And we should see some type of pullback. But if not, man, you still got a good deal at 350, 359 at these levels. I was hoping for that $1.38, but we bounced off this area right here. So it's looking pretty hot. Let's go back here to DOT. DOT here is still continuing down. Or it's bouncing up a little, but I expect it to continue down to that 213. And right now we're bouncing off of that weekly 8-period moving average to a T. So I think we're coming back up to the A and continuing down to that 213 area. AVAX, sad but true, it is down at the $19, $15 area. We did bounce off of this last week, but we didn't really come in with a ton of volume. So again, I'm expecting now AVAX to come up, either stay here or continue down into the $11, $10 area where you'll be able to pick it up there. I'm really looking forward to pick it up at that level down there. Let's move to Litecoin. Litecoin bounced off our area here. And you can see here at these levels, I'm honestly thinking that it's probably going to push through the 83 and come back and test that 56, 50 area, 49 area as we start to continue down, because we saw quite a bit of volume step in. Shiba Inu did bounce off our area. We went over this just a little bit yesterday, right? And then we had all the issues. I said that we should see it coming back and tap that 10 or that $1,000 mark area here, between the 1,082 area to that 1,900 area. So as it comes down into these levels, expect to see a little bit of a bounce, but if not, try to take part in the actual dollar cost averaging if you're still in Shiba. That's it in a nutshell. Thank you guys for coming today. I know I ran through a lot today. This was Technical Tuesday, and I was trying to get through a lot so that into next week, once I think tomorrow, this week, we're seeing the Powell is going to be talking about rate cuts or rate increases, or will we happen to stay? I personally think he's going to either drop rates or hold rates where they're at. So that's more where I'm leaning. We'll see if he raises rates. I don't think so. But that's more or less what I'm experiencing, because we were looking at the bonds and the yields at the same time. So one of those things that's we're looking. All righty, Tom, thank you so much for letting me speak here.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for the good information today. Really appreciate it. Technical Tuesday is Pedro's day to shine, ladies and gentlemen, and he puts a lot of effort into it, and I appreciate that, and I hope you guys do too. I know DYOR does, that's for sure.
I do. I really want you guys to be informed from a charting standpoint, and I really do. I mean, literally, Sunday, Monday, I'm like, I go over everything, and then throughout the whole entire week, I take notes for you guys so that we can talk about it on Tuesdays. So that's it in a nutshell.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same bad channel. As usual, this man next to me is Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst and extraordinaire. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media universe. Pay attention to Ice Raid. There's a link for it in our body and description down here. Coming out, and I have to say that because our sponsor wants us to. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your day.